Hey there, hope you're doing really well and excited to have you back here for open class number 75. We have a bunch of questions that we will hopefully go over this time. Few announcements. First of all, thanks so much for all the support when I announced yesterday actually that This Is NATO is out. Super excited about it. I think it's really good for someone who wants to sort of take a deep dive into the philosophy that has been born here on the channel. NATO stands for non-attachment to the outcome. If you want to learn more about NATO without buying the book, you can actually just tune in. But also there's a playlist in the description of every new video called This Is NATO. So check that out. For anyone that's new to the channel and is like, I think I would like a little bit more than what is in these videos here, but I am not sure. Should I buy This Is NATO or Set It and Forget? I think Set It and Forget is, a great way to start. It is very nicely outlined, for anyone that has trouble sleeping. And I think it's a nice path forward, but This Is NATO is like the deep dive. Okay, so that's the first announcement. Now, number two is this one that I'm seeing that we're getting to a point where we probably will not be able to answer every single question, which it's been very nice up till now because it has really not been difficult to answer every single question that's come in and every single comment. And now that I checked, there were like, I don't 12 or something questions that had come in, which is amazing. This channel is built on questions and learning from each other, etc. But I think it will be difficult. So we'll see what we'll do. For now, I'll just try to answer as many questions as I can, and we'll see what we'll do about that. But it kind of coincides with something that I think will maybe offset this to some degree, which is, let me share this with you. I've been talking a while about starting to do workshops, and the first one is happening this weekend, 10 p.m. Pacific time. It is going to be myself teaching the gas and brake model, which is really foundational. And we're going to use the gas and brake model to really learn a lot about sleep and common phenomena like the Houdini effect. You're about to fall asleep and then you're suddenly awake, or the surface window, you like, if I don't fall asleep before this time, I'm not going to sleep all night, and things of that nature. So if you are interested, you can check this out. Head over to the Sleep Coach School, and here's the top of it. You scroll down a little bit and it says here the time, and you can just click I'm ready and you can register for it. And it is $19 for a 1.5 hour seminar or a workshop. And it's going to be myself. It's going to be about, maybe half of it, maybe actually less than half of it's going to be me teaching, and the rest is going to be just questions. And we're going to limit it to 10 participants. I think that's a good size. And anyone who's enrolled in the school, of course, is welcome free of charge. So, but if you have questions and you would like to be part of that workshop, I think it'd be a great opportunity. So do check that out. Okay. Very cool. Now let's see how I can figure this one out. We'll stop this and let's get to our questions today. The first one is from Jake. And as we look at that, for anyone tuning in, nothing here is a medical advice, just general thoughts and questions I hope will help anyone that is tuning in. So let's do this. Jake sends this question. Hi, it's Jake again. I know I have a new question every week, but this channel really helps with my mindset regarding sleep. As you may remember from a previous open class episode, my sleeping hours were 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. due to the lockdown we're currently in. I didn't prioritize going to bed early as I didn't have to wake up to study. This last week, my sleeping pattern is more like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. As you can see, this is far from ideal and very antisocial. I really don't know how to go forward. It's currently 6 a.m. when I got into bed despite only having 3 hours sleep during the day. Still got a jolt of energy. I don't know what to do, as tossing and turning all night and being exhausted all day is far from ideal. Ideally, I would like to return to going to sleep around 2:30 and wake up 8 a.m. as I find functioning best when I sleep during those hours. Actually, this is a pretty common one when we don't have any obligations. Our natural tendency as humans is to kind of shift forward and forward. Jake says here, I don't know how to move forward. Well, actually, moving forward could be a good option, actually. And I mean, literally moving forward in a sense that you go to bed later and later and later until you reach the time where you typically would like to go to bed. So if you're now sleeping from, let's say, 9 a.m. Until, what was that? 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. was it? Let's take a look again so I don't say this incorrectly. Mostly like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then you could, go to bed like 11 a.m., then 1 p.m., then 3 p.m., then et cetera, until you reach about 2 a.m. That can sometimes work. But I think a more practical thing actually is to do this. Just decide on a wake up time and say 8 a.m. Okay, good. I'm going to get out of bed. No matter if I feel sleepy, tired, no matter what, I'm going to get up at 8 a.m. And I'm not going to go into bed too early. I'm going to give myself, I think Jake here wanted like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So I would say like get up at 8 a.m. and then stop checking the time maybe at like midnight and just go by how you feel. That is a very good way forward. So I think that was actually a pretty straightforward question, that one. Okay, let's continue on here. Jen says, hello, Daniel and Michael. It seems like even during the days when I slept the night before, I still feel exhausted. In fact, sometimes I'm more tired than the days when I have insomnia the night before. I've been sticking to a consistent wake-up time, and my bedtime is within a half an hour as long as I'm sleepy. What can I do to finally feel refreshed? It seems it doesn't matter. I'm in a constant state of feeling ragged. Thank you. Absolutely, Jen. I think this is a very important question and a common one, a very common question. So I think there are two things that we need to talk about here. Firstly, we need to talk about a cool down phase. And then, what am I doing here? I popped into the chat by mistake. Okay, let's say the cooling down. And then we need to talk about, the emotion fatigue. Okay, let's do this. So something that is very common with insomnia is that your fatigue is actually masked by hyperarousal. And I like to use the basketball analogy. It could be any sport really, but for some reason I go with basketball. So somebody's playing basketball and like they're playing intensely, like they're really like doing their thing. And you ask them right there, are you tired? They'd be like, no, I'm not tired. Let's go. And the reason they don't feel tired is that they're hyper aroused. Adrenaline is pumping. They're in the game. They're kind of in this, fight, if you will. And so they don't feel tired. But when they sit down after a little bit, they're like, whoa, now I feel how tired I am, because that hyper arousal is fading away. So this can cause this phenomenon that a lot of people are kind of feel is a little bit odd or strange, which is that when you sleep longer, you actually feel more tired. And that is because your hyper arousal has started to come down. You're less worried about sleep, you're less focused on it. And then you sleep longer because you're less worried about it. But that reduction in hyperarousal also allows you to feel to truly feel how tired you are from all the struggling. So that can be one reason you feel more tired actually when you start sleeping longer periods of time. Now, that's the kind of cool down where your brain is kind of cooling down. It's not so hyper aroused anymore. Then you can actually feel how tired you are. Now, the other thing that's important here is that when someone is like, I never feel refreshed, it doesn't matter if I sleep a little, if I sleep a lot, if I do this, if I do that. I'm always have low energy. I'm always fatigued. The littlest thing I do, it makes me really, really exhausted. And as we said before, like talk to your doctor whenever you're concerned about your health. But it is very important, I think, to know that fatigue is often an emotion. It's an emotion. There's the straightforward fatigue. There's two types of fatigue. There may be more kinds, but in the way I think about it is basically two types. There's the straightforward physical fatigue, like you've been out running, and that feels good. You're tired in a good way. You sit down, you rest, you just feel the energy coming back as you're resting. That is the kind of straightforward physical fatigue. Now, you have the other type of fatigue as well, which is the emotional fatigue, which doesn't feel good, which feels like sticky. Why is it here? Why doesn't it go away? Why does nothing help? I can never get away from it. It's always present. you can see how similar it is to insomnia. Like, why is it there? I want it to go away. I want to feel better. Nothing I do helps. It's because it's an emotion. It's like an unpleasant. It's a type of discomfort, just like wakefulness, like insomnia, like anxiety. Fatigue acts just like an emotion. The emotional fatigue is just like that. So what's the key to that one? If somebody has emotional fatigue, well, it's just like insomnia. It's the more you don't want to experience it, the more you're going to have it. It's basically the more you don't want to listen to what your body's telling you, the more it's going to want to tell you exactly that. So when you have emotional fatigue, what is really helpful is to allow yourself to feel it without judgment. Move away from kind of investigating, trying to figure it out, and just deploy a lot of self-kindness and be like, I am really feeling this emotional fatigue, but I'm not going to try to run away from it. I'm going to experience it. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to deploy self-kindness, and then it starts fading. That is the key to that emotional fatigue. Okay, Jen, I hope that was helpful. Now let's, this is a good one, really good one from Nancy that I wanted to talk about for a long time. Nancy says, hi there, coaches. I've had insomnia now for a while, but I have a new issue that's affecting my sleep. I feel the sensation to urinate constantly throughout the night, several times an hour. I don't have an infection or anything like that. Is there a correlation to insomnia? Thanks. Nancy, absolutely. And I picked up on this maybe like a year and a half ago or something like that. There was like these two different people who said the same thing. It's like, I don't get it. I have to pee literally like 7 or 8 or seven times per hour or something, like really high number, like, and they're like, and there's hardly anything there. And one person actually said, I think it was on the channel here, who said that I used to pee like 25 times per hour every night, but then when I started sleeping better and I was less nervous, that went away. And since then, I've picked up on it more and more. And I've read, I was actually very excited when I read, what's her name? Claire Weekes. Claire, Weekes. She's an Australian, well, she's passed away, but she was a doctor from Australia who wrote a lot about anxiety. And she mentioned that as well, that a frequent urination is a common sign of anxiety. And I don't know exactly why. I think it could be due to like stress hormones, like something like that, but it doesn't really make sense, because when we're stressed, we should, if anything, not want to like eat or pee or stuff like that. So I think it may be more like a tick or a habit that forms for some reason. I haven't explored exactly why. I haven't pondered it too much, but I want to say that it's very common, very, very common, or pretty common, I should say, not uncommon. And as the hyperarousal goes down, as you're less anxious, etc., like so many other things, it goes away. So I think it's super important to know, Nancy, this is not uncommon at all. Peeing a lot, for some reason, very common with, I keep saying very common. That's not really true. It's not very common, but it's not uncommon when it comes to hyperarousal and anxiety. Okay, Regulus says, I was delighted to have had my questions answered in the most recent open class. I can't express my gratitude enough. Thank you. Anytime. That was Coach Michael. I hope you won't mind if I continue to submit questions. You're super welcome. But as I mentioned earlier on, we're getting to a point where we can probably not answer every single one. And so we're starting to do workshops, and we're trying our best. So here they are. What are your feelings about using apps? I use Calm to help me feel sleepy before bed, and more importantly, in bed to fall asleep. Here's an example. After many consecutive nights of not being able to sleep quickly, more than 60 minutes, I was able to fall asleep within 20 minutes and began a 30-minute breathing exercise in another room. Halfway through, I moved to and continued it in bed. I slept before the exercise finished. By bringing it into bed with me, I'm setting myself up for bad sleep habits, creating a reliance and unwittingly increasing the pressure on me to sleep. Or is it fine to be using such tools to keep my possibly anxious thoughts at bay? Good question, common question, and it really boils down to intent. Insomnia comes from having this discomfort around being awake at night. I don't want to be awake enough, fear of being awake at night. And anxiety is an emotion that is sort of, quote unquote, designed to be a signal or a cue, like, hey, watch out, there's something happening. And then we're supposed to, quote unquote, like look around. Is there any threat? No, there's no threat. Okay, no good. Anxiety goes away like that. That's kind of like the baseline design of the mind. These like emotions are just like bursts of bursts of kind of signals that are supposed to make us do something in particular. And now the challenge for us is that we are human. We are like Homo sapiens sapiens. We can think about our thoughts. So we can often identify the signal, which is anxiety, as the threat. It's like this confusion. It's like we don't see a threat. So why am I feeling anxious? Oh, the anxiety is the problem. It's the anxiety. I don't want to have anxiety. The anxiety needs to go away. Why is it here? And that's when it gets sticky, because when you don't want to be anxious, the brain interprets that as like, you don't want to realize that there's a threat. You're not realizing that. I got to deploy more anxiety. So, and same thing with insomnia. It's like, I want to sleep at night. I don't want to be awake. Then that creates like hyperarousal and worry and etc. So both those anxiety and insomnia come from a place where we don't want to experience discomfort. And so what happens is when as you're alluding to, when you're using like an app like Calm with the intent of becoming less anxious, or you're doing breathing exercises with the intent of producing more sleep, that sets you up for more trouble. The tricky thing is that sometimes it can seem like, whoa, that worked. Yesterday I slept and I did that breathing exercise. So I'm onto something. That breathing exercise is what I need to do so I can sleep. But that's not the case. If you did a breathing exercise and you fell asleep pretty easily, that actually means that your intent with the breathing exercise were not to make yourself sleep, because then you wouldn't have. So it was just kind of coincidence that you did a breathing exercise. You maybe your attention was elsewhere, you fell asleep, but it was not because you did the breathing exercise or because you listened to the Calm app. This is very important, because as you allude to, if you start thinking that, oh, I need to do this so I sleep, or oh, I need to do this so I feel calm, that's going to lead you in the direction of more anxiety and more insomnia, versus when you do things simply with no particular intent. When you're willing to experience anxiety, you listen to your thoughts, you let them happen, but you don't try to push away anxiety, you don't try to make yourself sleep. You do things in the evening that you enjoy, that you like, with no intent, and then sleep comes to you, and then peace of mind comes to you. So that is my answer to this one. Cool. Yassine had a question here. I had a problem sleeping for the last 5 months after a breakup with it was a lot of stress. Okay. So I think the key here, Yassine, is that when someone has a breakup and there's a lot of stress, we intuitively see that would, for a lot of us, cause trouble sleeping, right? But Yassine points out that, but now it's been 5 months since that breakup. And now that could mean one of two things. Either the breakup is causing a lot of ongoing thoughts and worries and anxiety that still to this day is affecting sleep. That is possible, of course. And in that case, I think always like acceptance, self-kindness is, and listen to your thoughts, so that it's always the way, so you can deploy that towards the sort of underlying cause for your trouble sleeping. But what can also be happening now is that during the time of stress 5 months ago, the brain identified being awake at night as a threat, and it's now trying to make you fight that. It's trying to make you like escape the threat or do things to make yourself sleep or things of that nature. And that is really how insomnia starts, And so if that is the case, if you think that, the breakup isn't really bothering me right now, it's been 5 months, I'm okay with that, but I still have a lot of trouble sleeping, then you started having what we call insomnia, which is, again, when the brain is a little bit confused about what's a threat and what's not a threat, etc. And then, so if you recognize that, Justin, I would say just stay on this channel, learn more about sleep and insomnia, and you'll learn how to teach the brain that there's no threat, and you'll do really well. Yeah. Melena's here live. Congratulations on that. I just purchased on Amazon. So excited to read it. I'm so happy you did, Melena. I'm very excited about it. I hope it'll really make a difference, and that people will be kind to it. I think a lot of people will think it's like a little oversimplified, etc. But I think there's a lot of truth in it. Thanks so much, Elena, for all the support. Oh, and by the way, another little, this just made me think of another little announcement I had, which was I've had this idea actually for a long time to create like some T-shirts and maybe a coffee mug with like the the Sleep Coach School logo, or like maybe so natto, like a hashtag natto or something like that. And it's apparently very easy. So soon enough, it's gonna happen. Natto is gonna be on some t-shirts and coffee mugs and stuff like that. I hope you'll find that fun too, Melina. All right, back to our questions. Let's see here. I think this is maybe the last one for today. Yeah, I think so. William, is this the last one? Yeah, it is. William says, greetings. Do your techniques work for people that are quote unquote asleep for 6 to 8 hours, but wake in the morning without feeling restored? That is severe loss of sleep quality. Assume the patient has no sleep apnea or other physical problems when answering this question. Yes, thanks for pointing that out. I've had 3 sleep studies done, and my sleep doc has said he can see on my results that I'm dipping in and out of deep sleep. I won't stay in it. Thank you. P.S. How do I know if you answer my question? Do I just need to keep checking your YouTube videos? Yes. That is this kind of system we have now. You have to look out for the title of the video and see your name there. But okay, this is a very similar question to the one I believe it was Jen had earlier, which is, how about if I just never feel refreshed? I sleep a reasonable amount. I don't have any sleep disorder. What's up with that? Very common question. In fact, I get this question daily in clinic and from clients and on the channel, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the thing, that when you feel tired or not refreshed, and again, this is just general thoughts, it may not apply to you, but if someone feels not refreshed, tired during the day, exhausted, fatigued, no energy, all the littlest thing makes me just like want to sit down, like that thing, then if there is something obvious going on with sleep, somebody has sleep apnea or active insomnia, then I think it's a good approach to address that, But if someone is like, it doesn't matter how much I sleep or how little I sleep, there's nothing obvious to me going on with my sleep, I just feel unrefreshed, then to me, that signals that sleep is not the culprit. Sleep is not the culprit. The reason you're feeling unrefreshed has nothing to do with sleep, or very little to do with sleep. And at first, this often seems kind of very discouraging. And that is because, of course, your mind is a problem-solving machine. It wants to figure out what's going on so it can solve it. And when it's had the idea that maybe if I can just improve my sleep quality, I'll feel refreshed, that's kind of attractive, because at least it gives you some direction, like, okay, I can do this, so I feel this way. But the challenge there is that, firstly, it isn't a problem with sleep that is causing you to feel unrefreshed. And secondly, the more you focus on sleep and try to improve it, the more likely you're going to have insomnia. The more you focus and try to improve your sleep by taking this, doing that, there's more focus on sleep. And then sleep is kind of like it thrives if you treat it like a succulent, a little bit of attention, or very little actually, almost like a cactus. But if you try to treat it like a bonsai tree, like trim it and nip it and fix it and tweak it like that, then it withers and it's no good. It becomes a very slippery sleep then. So okay, so what's up then? Why do I always feel tired and exhausted and unrefreshed? Well, it is because really, I think we still have that banner here. It's an emotion. That fatigue, that exhaustion is an emotion. It is like an emotion like fear or anxiety or something like that. It is a signal. It's kind of like a clue. It tells you something about the thoughts in your mind, what's going on in your life, and it's a reflection of that. And it may have started with something very innocent, like there was something that made you kind of feel like emotionally tired, and then, just like with insomnia, it often starts with just like this 1 or 2 sleepless nights. It can start with like this one time where you felt tired, but then the safety-minded brain goes, "Why are you so tired? Something is wrong. You shouldn't feel this tired. This is not right." And then it goes like, could it be this? Could it be that? You may have you check your vitamin D levels, your thyroid levels, your iron levels. You have a sleep study, and it's like nothing comes out of that. It doesn't show anything. They're like, something must be really wrong because I'm so tired and so exhausted. And then you go on, you go to see a naturopath, you try some supplements, you look at your sleep. Meanwhile, you're getting more and more tired. And it's very hard to see that it is the attempt at trying to figure out and escape this emotion that is making it sticky. It's kind of the brain, your body's trying to tell you something, you don't want to listen, and then it tries to like really give you more of that message. So that is like what I think is so important when it comes to this question, William. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for sending questions, and I want to say, as I said in the beginning of this episode, that we are starting to do these webinars, and I'm doing a webinar this weekend, 10 a.m. Pacific time, on the gas and brake model. And you can head over to thesleepcoachschool.com and register there. It's $19. I'm going to do maybe 30 minutes or so on the gas and brake model, and then just answer questions. I think that will be a good way to make sure we can answer a lot of questions. So it's going to be 10 people. And so if you feel like that's for you, please go and register. And also, if you want more one-on-one attention, then please head to the App Store and check out BedTyme, where I coach text-based coaching. I think it's a fantastic program. A lot of people do really well there. And for someone who wants a less pricey option, but that is really good if you don't mind sharing, and if you want to join a community, then head over and check out the Self-Coaching Master Program. And that's it. All right, so thanks so much for tuning in and for all the support, and look forward to having you back here really soon. Until then, take it easy.